squirrels? Where are they? Where's the squirrels? The chippies? Frisbee's there. Gives you frisbee. Yeah. It's all muddy, isn't it? Huh? Hey, go and get your frisbee. Morning. No, it's not. It's afternoon. Never mind. I changed my mind. Originally, I was going to do the polytunnel first, but I figured that why not do the tank and put the irrigation tank in while I have full access, because once the polytunnel goes in here, it's going to be a little tight. So anyway, as you'll see from the video, it's a bit of a fight. They're not the easiest things to move around on your own. It's roughly level again. I'm not saying it's perfectly level. So I did manage to get all the sections joined together. It's in a circle, rough circle at the moment. I've still got a few more nuts and bolts to put in the bottom. Julie's going to give me a hand with that because I cannot, as you can see, I cannot reach any further down to put the nuts and bolts in. So we'll get the nuts and bolts in it. Once that's done, I'll bring the laser out and we'll show you that. We'll put the laser on it. It's not level. What I'll do is I'll just basically lift the base up with some stone, get it level, and then we'll just pack sand all the way around the inside. Make sure there's no rough stones, but that's for another video. So yeah, that's where I am with the tank, and we'll catch up with a little bit more of that probably next week.
We had a visit from a very dear friend of ours, and so we decided to take a very rare day off.
Bad for my image. So back in the potting shed. Well, nearly the potting shed. No, I haven't had a chance to do anything in here yet, other than throw up a couple of new lights, which is much, much better. We're still dealing with plants. I've still got plants to deal with, still got plants to look after. Unfortunately, I should be doing more pricking out potting. Just can't do it at the moment because I don't know where to put them. But I thought I'd just bring in a few bits and pieces of plant materials. Some of it was sown probably, hang on, I might even have, I got a date on it, which is unusual for me. So these are foxgloves. So these were sown. This is Digitalis Dalmatian Cream. And the seed was sown on the 22nd of the 7th. So right towards the end of July. Foxgloves, Sweet Williams, Forget-Me-Nots, Hollyhocks, pink Forget-Me-Nots. Again, these were sown on the 22nd of the 7th because I sowed all of this stuff. And these are all biennial. So biennial is a plant that you sow one year. It grows through that season, overwinters, and then flowers the next. Now, I'm not going to go too deeply into this, but foxgloves are a prime example. There are one or two varieties of foxgloves that are perennial. I don't have any here. These are all Purpurea Dalmatian. This is Dalmatian White. Again, nice little plants. By rights, I should be on these now, potting them up. They're going to be okay. It won't be long now before I can put them somewhere in the tunnel, and they'll be knocked out of these pots, pricked out and potted up. Sweet Williams, I don't have any Sweet Williams this year. I decided to give those a miss. But I see it very, very often that people are trying to force their biennials by sowing them in the spring. And a lot of people are sowing them under lights, under heat in the spring. You're using up valuable growing space. There's no need to be doing that. Typically, and I'm talking typically as if I was in the UK, I would be sowing all of my biennials, so my foxgloves, my Sweet Williams, my wallflowers, my hollyhocks, my sweet rocket. I'd be sowing them July outside in the garden in drills. Sowing them off there, and then once they've got to about this size, I'd be then lifting them and planting them out in the garden. Now, you can do that, certainly here in Ontario, that's definitely doable. You're just tying up space by sowing them in the spring. You're not going to get them to flower that year. So you've wasted growing space, you've wasted light, you've wasted heat. Sow them in the middle of summer, as we've done here. I know these are in pots, but it's just so that it makes it easier for me because I knew we were moving. So that's your biennials. Now we'll come back to that again at a later date when I get round to potting these up, and I'm hoping it's going to be in a couple of weeks' time. And then these will be overwintered in our shade house. They will not be kept. They will freeze up, but they will be fine. So that's our biennial. That's a quick reference to biennials. So I hope that makes it a little clearer for people. But like I said, catch up with these guys later. They'll get pricked out. They'll be potted up, and then you can follow their progress through the seasons. So while I'm in the potting shed, I thought I'd show a few something else that we have that's actually looking quite nice. Again, you have to bear in mind these things have been moved around and they're not in ideal conditions at the moment. Now these are hardy cyclamen. So let's start with these guys. These are grown from seed. So you can see the cyclamen hedropholium. So the hedropholium flower in the fall. Cyclamen coum, and these are hardy cyclamen. This is cyclamen coum. They will flower from sort of Christmas onwards.
That's a pretty leaf.
It is a pretty leaf, yes. I don't think... Oh, yeah, saying that, there is a flower bud there forming. You can just see it. But generally, they'll start flowering around Christmas, and then they'll flower right through till the spring. So we have a couple of cyclamen coum there, cyclamen hedropholium. This seed was sown on the 2nd of the 6th this year.
Goodness.
So these will now be grown on. They'll do another, so they'll be kept green right through the winter. I'll just keep them frost free. I'm not going to heat them. They'll just be kept frost free. They'll be grown on for another full winter, spring, and then next spring I'll allow them to dry out, and at that point we will prick them out. And the little corms that I prick out will probably be no bigger Trying to find something that's about the right size. There's nothing here really. These are all too big. Oh, here we go. So the little corms will be a whitey brown color, and they'll be actually smaller than that. And then they'll be pricked out into plug trays into individual pots, grown on for a couple of years. It'll probably be 4 years before they flower. So it's a long process. These are, and then a couple of larger plants. That's hedropholium. It's got a nice slender leaf, not flowering this year. And then that's another hedropholium with another style of leaf. Now these are hardy. These are, I've planted these out in the garden before. They do come through quite nicely the winter. And I have lots of them in the cold frame. They're in the cold frame at the moment. They will go in the greenhouse for the winter. So just another, we want to keep the plant stuff going. I don't want to forget all the plant stuff while all this construction's going on, building new tunnels, greenhouses, and all the rest of it. So we're going to keep featuring some plants every week. And then once I get the greenhouse going, then obviously we'll be back full time just talking about plants. But until then, please like and subscribe, and we'll catch up with you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.